tonight. The Spurs are in New Orleans taking on the Pelicans in a game that it means more about Wemby's imminent awards than anything else. Keldon might be back. I don't know why he's hurrying, but maybe to help his bro out. But I don't know what I'm expecting tonight. I'd like to see them continue to play well. I've gone ahead and acknowledged and accepted the fact that this is the worst team in franchise history with the next best player. And however we want to end it, that's not going to change anything for me.
I mean, do you care? Is there any emotional energy you have assigned to a win or loss tonight?
Well, my emotional energy is attached entirely to Wemby. I mean,
Sure.
if we're going to do
but
this,
not a win or loss.
No. I mean, if I felt like they were all in trying to get it, if Sohan hadn't taken the week off to get his impingement taken care of in preparation for the Olympics, then I'd feel like the season mattered, at least that season record. But Sohan's injury, after we talked to Garrett, yes, he needs the surgery. I'm not saying he's malingering or anything like that. Go get it, you're hurt. But the timing kind of shows me that they're thinking about Paris and his Olympic dreams more than the end of the regular season. And if that's what they're thinking about, so am I.
Bring it on. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the other thing is I have emotional energy assigned to Wemby, but there's even a ceiling on that. He can't win Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he can't.
I keep thinking with a miracle performance, because the votes aren't in yet. Now, some are, but the deadline isn't there till the end of the season. And, looking at the Spurs, here's some things that, okay. They've covered in the last 7 games, or 7 of the last 10 anyway. They've covered.
Okay.
So, well, I'm looking at the Vegas numbers, and I think Vegas is kind of thinking, they might jump up and get the Pelicans tonight. Now it's an 11.5 line. I like the Spurs to cover, which means I think they're going to be in the game.
Again, I mean, that's exciting. I'm not trying to just rain on this parade too, as well as the eclipse. But I mean, if they win tonight, are you really going to feel like something was accomplished? You know what I mean? If they cover, are you going to feel like something was accomplished? Like we're just treading water here.
Yes,
I mean, there's significance and meaning to these games, but whether or not Keldon's back or not also is kind of, yeah, okay.
Well, the Pelicans
I hope
are down
he's healthy
too.
and feeling good.
No Ingram tonight. He's still hurt. That little guard Alvarado, he's not playing. I don't think Zion's going to play. He's got a finger problem, but they're going to have to get some wins under their belt. So I think if it's close, he's going to play. And for that alone, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on there. And you get yourself another one of those top 10 ESPN night kind of blocks like he got. I think every one of those matter. Not the final score. The Wemby highlight matters. So if we're going to chase this and make our whole season about Wemby's awards, let's do this. Let's get him the Defensive Player of the Year. Let's put him in situations to get the stats that get you the votes, because with every passing day, Edwin, do you have the sound handy from the Orlando Magic crew talking about Wemby?
By the way, DraftKings has pulled Rookie of the Year odds, so it's off the books. but relative, dude, this is just not possible, Rob. So DraftKings has Rudy Gobert at -3,000, -3,000 to win Defensive Player of the Year. Meanwhile, Wemby is at +1,000. So
that's better. He was 1,500 last week. So I think
there is a tie for the next best odds between Jared Allen, Derek White, Bam, and Anthony Davis. They are all at +20,000. But again, -3,000. You just can't get those odds on anything ever at any point in time.
No, that's a lock. Give me the top 4 again.
The top 4. Well, there's a top 6.
Defensive player. Well, give me the list of the top 6. It's
so Rudy Gobert is the favorite.
Big.
Then there's a massive gap, and then there's Wemby, and then there's a massive gap, and there's a 4-way tie between Jared Allen, Derek White, Bam, and Anthony Davis.
Everybody's a big, but Derek White. I wonder what that means toward the defensive, all defensive team.
I mean, it's hard to win if you're not, or it's a award that's more conducive towards winning if you're a big. You generally have more opportunities, obviously, for
Right.
defensive moments and plays and success.
Given what you've seen Wemby play, as we've been a bit of more of an eyewitness on a regular basis than most. Would you count him?
I'm already here, dude.
Could you put him as a defensive player as a 3? Would you list him like, okay, we're going to put our all defensive team. The first team is Gobert at 5, Wemby at 4. I mean, would you put him in there? Or does he have to be second team because he's the second best big? See, I'm trying to quantify how we're going to put him in, because by his measure, the way he's designed his game, he's not a 5. He's not even a 4. So if we go by he's a small forward, and we put him on the all defensive team.
I think you've got to just find a way to get him on the first team. You know what I mean? Like, however, you've got to kind of slice this. You can't have him be on the second team off of some.
Well, to get that, they're going to have to make some kind of notable move, and they're going to have to beat some teams, or he's going to have to pull a Wemby or a 5x5 or anything like that to get the national look, because all those local writers are paying too much attention to their own guys, and they're just going to read headlines. The Spurs ranked second in the league in assists per game this year at 29.8, as the charge toward an unbreakable record continues. They will have completed this entire season averaging at least 20 assists or more, and heading into 3 consecutive if they finish out. The Spurs ranked 29th in the league for opponent field goals made per season for the game at 45. So the defense is kind of picked as just as bad as it's ever been. They're allowing 45 made shots a game, so it makes it a little bit difficult to stay in if you're not playing much defense, and they're biblically one of the worst.
I mean, this is a really bad.
The 29th word that, when you put it in that perspective, and we're talking about votes for Defensive Player of the Year. If you haven't watched him play enough, and all you see is the Spurs are that bad, there's no way.
I understand.
And he doesn't deserve it.
I understand how people who don't watch the Spurs every night can parachute in and feel like the claim and the argument is silly. I get that, because we do that with different things, right? Like, unless you're watching every moment and every second of this particular thing, you find it to be silly. So I can understand on the surface saying, dude, they suck. Like, how is it possible that you're telling me anyone on their team is Defensive Player of the Year? I mean, it's hard to pass the smell test, if that makes sense.
It's impossible. You can't. There's no way you can be Defensive Player of the Year with that. As much as I'm for it, and I've watched him play, the blocks alone are great, but you're giving away 45 made baskets a game, and you're 30th in total defensive efficiency. It just doesn't add up to give you that kind of award.
Right.
It gets you on the team, on the all-defensive team. It just doesn't give you the trophy, and I think that's where he's headed. But with him coming back with Keldon, if Keldon does play tonight, I think we've got to continue to pay attention to how he gets along with these other guys and how they play with each other. And I think as much as anything, Keldon's going to have to start adapting himself to that Wemby's first, especially if it's just he and Wemby tonight and he's coming off the bench.
I mean, I don't know how he wouldn't have adapted by now.
Recent numbers tell us differently, that they just aren't playing very well together. Trey Jones is 7th in the league in the assist-to-turnover ratio. One more reason to like Trey Jones. And as we've come down to the end of the year, if you look at all the guys that play best with Wemby, he's the guy. He is the one out there that has adapted his game to fit Wemby the best as we've gone through there. And that's by shrinking it and allow Wemby to do some of those things that he was doing. And as long as those turnovers stay down, I do think that the Spurs are in there. I like the 11.5 line. I take the Spurs to cover. What do you guys think? 656-3776, 656-ESPN. How are you closing this season down? Are you paying more attention to the stat line or the scoreboard? Because neither one of them look very good lately.